If you've ever led a team, even for just a day, you've run headfirst into the big question, right? What actually works? What's the secret sauce for getting people to not just punch the clock, but to show up with real energy, with focus, with that drive to do great work? Honestly, it's the puzzle every single manager is trying to solve. So how do you do it? Do you paint this grand, inspiring vision of the future? Or maybe you build a super clear, no-nonsense system of rewards and consequences. Or do you just get out of the way and trust your people to handle it? Well, in this explainer, we're going to put these big ideas to the test and see what the actual research has to say. Okay, so let's dive in by meeting our three main contenders. And it helps to think of them as archetypes, you know? You've got the visionary, who inspires people to change. Then there's the deal maker, who's all about a fair exchange. And finally, the delegator, who motivates by trusting the team and empowering them. First up, the visionary. This is what we call a transformational leader. And their whole goal isn't just about managing tasks. It's about changing hearts and minds. They motivate by getting everyone to buy into a shared purpose, to see that bigger picture, and to feel, genuinely excited to be a part of it. Next, we've got the deal maker. This is your classic transactional leadership. It is all about a clear, straightforward exchange. The leader says, here's what I need from you. They watch how you do, and they give you rewards for hitting those targets. You do well, you get recognized. You don't, and there's a correction. It's basically a really clear contract. And our final contender is the delegator, the laissez-faire leader. This person shows the ultimate form of trust by handing over almost all the decision-making power to their team. They'll give you the tools and the resources you need, but then they step back. The belief here is that talented, motivated people do their best work when you just give them the freedom to fly. So, if you boil it all down, the real difference is how each style tries to motivate you. The visionary inspires, the deal maker rewards, and the delegator empowers. Three totally different philosophies on what gets people going. So the question is, which one actually works best? To figure that out, we can't just stay in the world of theory. We've got to see how these styles actually play out in a real-world setting. And lucky for us, there's a fascinating study that did exactly that. All right, so here's the setup. The research was published back in 2015 in the Public Organization Review. A team of researchers went into the high-pressure world of banking in Pakistan and surveyed about 100 employees. And their goal was super direct. Find out which of these three leadership styles had the biggest effect on how motivated people felt at work. And this visual really gets to the heart of what they were trying to do. They built this model to directly measure the link between each leadership style and employee motivation. So this wasn't just about asking opinions. It was a clean, direct test of our three contenders. So this stage is set, right? We've met the different leadership styles. We've got our real-world test case. Now it's time to look at the data and see what they actually found. And I gotta say, the results might not be what you're expecting. So take a guess. What's your prediction? Is it gonna be the inspiring visionary, the hands-off delegator, or the clear-cut deal maker? Which one do you think really lit a fire under these employees? Okay, the results are in. And the leadership style with the strongest positive impact on employee motivation was the transactional leader. Yep, the deal maker came out on top. That was followed by the delegator, with the visionary actually having the weakest, though still positive effect of the three. Now, this is really important to point out. The study found that all three styles had a positive impact. So it's not like any of them were demotivating. It's just that in this specific situation, one was clearly a much more powerful motivator than the others. Okay, so this brings up the big question, right? Why? Why did the style that can sometimes seem a little impersonal outperform the one that's all about passion and vision? Well, the answer comes down to one hugely important word: context. The researchers themselves give us the biggest clue. Remember where this study took place? A high-pressure banking sector. These aren't creative, ambiguous jobs. They're tough, they're demanding, and you've got to be precise. And that's the light bulb moment. When the work is very structured and the goals are crystal clear, a leadership style that gives you equally clear rewards for success, well, that can be an incredibly powerful motivator. In that kind of job, clarity can be way more inspiring than a big speech. So what's the big lesson here for all of us? Does this mean transactional leadership is just better? No, not at all.
What it means is that we need to stop thinking about leadership as a fixed personality type and start thinking of it more like a toolkit. And here's the absolute key takeaway. There is no single best way to lead. The most effective style depends completely on the situation you're in. For a creative team trying to brainstorm a new product, that visionary approach might be perfect. But for a team executing a detailed, high-stakes plan, that transactional style might be exactly what they need to succeed.
And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. It's not about what kind of leader am I? It's about what kind of leader does my team need me to be right now for this specific challenge. The real art of leadership isn't just picking one style and sticking to it. It's knowing which tool to pull out of the box.